Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about the best secondary to run if you're not going to be running overkill. This happens in different scenarios where maybe you want to get fully loaded. Like we've talked about before, go ahead and get fully loaded. That's there. But there are still some great Akimbo options, even after the nerfs to the Diameti and the Renetti that were very specific to reducing damage when you have them in Akimbo. And one thing I really hadn't seen out there is whether or not the nerfs that applied to the Renetti and the Diameti that made it when you had them in Akimbo, that you're not getting any different damage multiplier. It's all the same damage, which basically means when you use those, if you get a headshot, a foot shot, it pretty much does the same damage. You're not getting any additional bonus. When you look at the other pistols, I went through, tested, we do end up getting that bonus. A headshot's still a headshot, a chest shot is a chest shot, a stomach is a stomach, and limbs are limbs. So what we're going to do is kind of go ahead and talk a little bit about the stats here, and you'll have a good idea of which one I think is the best. And I think it's actually an amazing option to run, especially if you're going to drop one for somebody else. Maybe you pick up your ghost class, somebody coming back, maybe they're not going to get a second loadout. There's a lot of great options. So we'll go ahead and talk about that in today's video. If you enjoy the video, learn something new, please do me a favor, hit the like button. If you're brand new, want to find your way back, double check, make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. Also, just a heads up, I will have gameplay of this over on the second channel if you want to go ahead and check that out, which is JGOD Plays near the top of the description. So one of the things that made the Renetti and the Diameti so good is because they had those bursts, you can get the headshot multiplier. They nerfed the actual range. They went in through and nerfed them pretty hard, but they let another one slip through the cracks. And as you can see on the screen, if we rank the rest besides the Renetti and Diameti that got nerfed pretty hard, you can see that the M19 comes in with a TTK right around 800, and then it drops off to 845 for the Deagle, but obviously that's a perfect scenario where you spam and every bullet's hitting the right spot and you do not miss. We have the base Renetti, we have the X16, the 1911s, and it continues going on, and you see that going on. Obviously the difference with the Renetti is it has the burst attachment, which makes it burst. That actually sped up the TTK. Especially in multiplayer where you only have 100 health. So you can kind of see how those lay out. Nothing spectacular, but obviously that math is built in a certain way. And when you put that in Akimbo, you're firing twice as fast. And if there was a burst delay, now you're only having one burst delay for two bursts because you're firing twice at the time. And we carry that over to the Akimbo TTK, keeping in mind that the FFAR, which deletes people, has a TTK up to about 35 meters of about 475 around there. If you're hitting all the shots, if you get headshots in the mix, it'll go faster. But what we can see right here is when we do that, we got the M19 with a 399, and this goes up to about 10 or 12 meters right around there. If you decide to put on a monolithic suppressor, you can stretch it out to the maximum, but you might not necessarily need that depending on the scenario. We can go down the Deagle, which nobody's going to use. We've seen those in the Gulag. Those are terrible, not going to be consistent. But if you manage to be standing still, they're standing still, you line up the shots, you're going to get a fast TTK. Then the Renetti, still pretty decent. If you want to run a regular Akimbo Renetti, not burst, you're probably going to still be okay, but you're not going to be as fast as the M19. And then the X16, nothing special, but you can see the TTKs are all pretty fast, considering all the SMGs within those ranges are right around 500 to 520, so these things will absolutely delete. You can see some of the gameplay in the background, me just kind of going through, pushing, double tapping. The biggest downside is they don't have a full auto like that Psychov pistol that's going to eventually come out, maybe in a month, maybe in a year, who knows. People have been talking about it forever, myself included. But these things are not full auto, so you cannot really run them in auto attack sprint unless you're just very comfortable and you've had a lot of experience running them with auto attack sprint. So that is kind of how it ends up working out. And like I said, the thing that makes these even more broken is if you manage to get headshots, you're going to get the maximum headshot multiplier, which in this particular case, if you're hitting someone with the M19 at close range, it's going to deal 72 damage to the head. It's going to do 42 to the chest, 36 to the stomach, and then 33 everywhere else. So it pretty much always kind of lands somewhere between about 6 to 8 shots to kill. If you're only hitting limbs and you're only hitting upper chest, if you manage to get some headshots in the mix, that TTK could be like as little as 5 shots. You just manage to be point blank and you delete them that quick, and that is a very fast TTK. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about with this. The class setups are almost going to be copy and paste for these. In reality, you can use the M19, the Renetti without the burst, And then we have the X16, which are going to be all great options. You go into the 1911, just not enough ammo. And that's another part where the M19 shines. It actually holds the most ammo out of all of the pistols that we're going to see. So now let's go ahead and jump into the class setup that I'm using in today's gameplay. So the class setup I'm using is the XRK-V or 5 extended with the 5 milliwatt. That's going to tighten up the spread, but it also helps the sprint to fire time. Then we have the lightweight trigger, which speeds up the rate of fire with those individual TTKs that I showed. Those are all with the lightweight trigger because we're talking about the fastest TTK possible, and you're going to want to make sure you have that lightweight trigger. We also have the 32 round mag, which the other ones do not have, so it has superior ammo. We got to obviously run Akimbo. If you want a little bit tighter hip fire, you can actually drop the extended and put on the monolithic, since all the extended barrels or anything that extends your range for Modern Warfare weapons, it actually hurts your actual hip fire. It spreads it out a little bit more. That's why I was using the V versus the L. You could go lightweight too, and that's going to hurt your bullet velocity, which isn't really a big deal. Aim down sight, it helps, but that doesn't really matter. So you can actually drop that completely if you want to go ahead and get a little more stealthy and get the monolithic. But this thing is helping out, get you like an extra 30% range, and that is where it's kind of pushing it up to that 11 meters, which is huge with this thing. You're just going to be instantly deleting people, get some reactions like, how the heck I die so quick? Because they just do not realize when you're barrel stuffing them and you absolutely delete them. So I would definitely recommend trying this out. If you're going to be running some kind of ghost class and maybe you don't want to regain with that, maybe use the FFAR as your main. Maybe the AMAX is a good way to go so you can get ghost right off the bat, or you can even get restock. Or if you really want to go that route, you can go high alert, so you can see when people are looking at you. If you want to see a little bit more gameplay of this in action, go ahead and check out the second channel, which is just JGOD Plays, where I'll have a video up right around the same time this video is posted. Enjoy the video, learn something new. Please do me a favor, hit that like button if you're brand new, want to find your way back. Double check, make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.